Howdy do. Long time no see for those of you who've been here since the beginning of this year. And if you've been here since the beginning of the year, you know I haven't been posting that much. So my year has been kind of odd, to say the least. It's been a little like heavy, I guess. Let me explain. Let's say my year was like a roller coaster. I guess that's kind of a generic metaphor to use. So this roller coaster started out in the middle, just coasting very mellow, very nice. And then it rose a bit, and then it took a mini dip, and then it rose really high, super high, and then took a major dip, and another dip, and another dip, and another dip, and was just going into this downward spiral of nothingness. Now that I've given you the motion of the roller coaster of this year, let me pinpoint the events in which were the rises and the dips. So the first little rise was when I went to Vietnam. That was great. Oh, that was really fun. But we had to come back early due to some minor situations. But anyway, we came back early, and by we I mean Mary and I. My voice, Then like a couple months after that, or a month after that, I don't remember how long, a couple months after that, I went to Egypt, and that was the rise of the lifetime. That's where everything just shot up, and it was amazing. That trip was the best trip I've ever taken in my life. And I was with my dad, and my dad is the most important person to me in my life, so it was just awesome, you know? Get to hang out with my dad for like 2 weeks and explore Egypt and eat different food and see camels and the pyramids and everything beyond the pyramids, and I got to meet friends of the family who I've never met, and they've been friends of the family for like 20 years. It was super amazing, and I felt cleansed when I came back. So I was on top of the world. That was the top, the highest point of the roller coaster. That's where I felt the best. And then a month later, it took a dip. And that's when I lost someone who was close to me, but I hadn't seen them in a while. But anyway, someone close to me passed away. So that was the first major dip, and that had my emotions like, whoa. I was a little emotionally rocked after that. Then no later than a week after that, someone who I don't know, liked a little too much, cut me off. And that was gonna happen eventually anyway, but I think just because it happened so soon after the first dip, it really just kind of felt like a machete right into the gut, and up and then twisted, you know. So that had me all like, wow. I can laugh at it now, but that shit was up in the beginning. Okay, so that was the second dip. And then, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks after that, a trip that was planned for about 5 to 6 months that I was supposed to go on in that month got canceled. So plans changed. And I was bothered about that for like about an hour. I don't know. It was just kind of funny because of the sequence of events. So that was the third dip. So I tried to get my mind off of things and applied for this job, which is like a month-long process if you get that far. Anyway, I had gotten up to the last stage. I was at my last interview, and in that interview they told me, wow, you're great for this job, yada yada yada. This is how you set up your bank account with our company, and shabba ding dong hoo. Just wait for the email and you're good to go. The next day the email comes and it's a rejection email. At this point I kind of had a laugh. I was like, wow, okay, well, you know, the way things are going this year, I'm not surprised. I also had sent an email to another company that I was trying to work for, and they never got back to me. So I was like, yeah, wow, this is the year of loss and rejection. Woohoo! So this roller coaster of my life had some, you know, unfortunate dips. Yeah. And I just felt myself kind of spiraling down into this really dark place. If you have seen my New Year's resolution video from the beginning of this year, which kind of failed, I think the only thing I stuck to was keeping a track of how much I'm spending. But anyway, if you saw the video, I think it talked about getting stuck or getting into a routine and feeling like you're not going anywhere, you're not progressing, and you just get into like a funk. I had fallen right back into a routine of going nowhere, except it was just 10 times worse because I was depressed. And I didn't want to admit that to myself that I was depressed, but you know, after I look at it, I was quite emotionally unstable this year. I continued doing the previous job, which was working from 9 p.m. till 6:30 in the morning every day except for Friday and maybe sometimes Sunday, which gave me no life. And then on Friday, which was my main day off, I would go out and party. And in the daytime, when I wasn't sleeping, I barely slept anyway, I would binge watch movies and series and YouTube. And I was just doing that continuously, and I was waiting for September to come because in September, a friend of mine from New York was supposed to come to Thailand, and we were supposed to like link up. And I thought even that might not work out. I don't know, because of the way things were going. I was like, oh, shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if this trip got canceled too. Anyway, yeah, all my creative passion for anything and everything had totally just died. It was scary, actually, because I've never been that, how do I say it? I had never been in a situation where I had lost all motivation towards anything creative. Even if I was bummed out about something before or got into a routine, I would still have some motivation to at least draw or to, I don't know, sing or do something that was creative or working my mind in a progressive way. This year, during that time, I was just like, or you could hear elevator music. That, you know, I was just trying to distract myself from the previous events of this year and the emotions of it. I didn't want to think about it. Anyway, naturally, I don't like to get into a routine. I don't like to be stuck, you know, and that's what I felt like that I was stuck and actually just kind of sinking further into the ground. And I remember thinking at a certain point, I was like, am I going to have a near-death experience to eject myself out of this negative downward spiral I'm in? Anyway, moving on. So September comes rolling around and I go down south to meet my friend, and it was awesome. We went to the islands, it was great. We had a good time, but down at the islands, I barely slept. I could not sleep. In the daytime, we were very active and we'd go around searching for places and doing active stuff. And then at night, we would go out and party because the party life or the nightlife on the islands are it's a little nuts. Anyway, the last 2 days of the trip, my body started like screaming at me. I was feeling weird. Unfortunately, I am sick, so I can't go out and film dance. The nightlife. I can't go out and film the nightlife at the moment because, as you can see, I am not functional. So Kirk is gonna film it for me. I just didn't feel comfortable. I was really sensitive to the touch, whatever. Anyway, then we get back to Chiang Mai, up north where I live. And that night, I took a shower and I had a fit where I had like the shakes and I had a fever and I felt nauseous and I was really sensitive. Like if you touched me, it felt like this whole ripple of weird, extreme, sensitive, uncomfortable feeling was going through my body. I had a ridiculous cough all at the same time. And my fever, whoa, that fever was so high, it was like a crack an egg on your back and cook it kind of fever. I was shaking uncontrollably and I was burning up and sweating profusely and feeling like I was just gonna vomit everywhere. I didn't, but still, in the midst of that, I remember thinking, I feel like I could die. It was the first time I had ever thought that in my life, that, you know, maybe I might die from this. I was afraid to fall asleep. It was like 12 in the morning or something like that, or 1 in the morning, and I was going through this thing and I just didn't want to fall asleep because I thought I was going to die. Anyway, I got through it, obviously. And so I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe it was just a flu or something like that, you know? Maybe it's just some sort of weird reaction to me working crazy hours and then going down on this trip and not sleeping properly and doing way too much and partying way too much. And I don't know, maybe if I just wait a couple days, it'll F off. I waited a couple days. I waited about 4 days and I wasn't getting any better. My legs started to get really weak. I would wake up feeling queasy and disgusting. My body was sore and in pain. And on day 4, I actually got sick for the first time. I hate getting sick, so it takes me a lot to actually get sick. Most people can be just like, bleh, you know, but it takes me a lot to get sick. I told my dad, hey, I think I'm gonna go to the hospital. So I did. And I never go to the hospital. Like, I hate the hospital, but I've never felt that terrible. So I went to the hospital and they thought at first that my gallbladder exploded, which it didn't, thank goodness. It ended up being a really terrible kidney infection. And they told me if you waited any longer, you would have to be admitted to the hospital for many months. And I was like, really? Damn. And it was so bad. I mean, every time I had to go to the hospital, they had to roll me around in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. Oh yeah, not to mention the first 3 days after I got a checkup from the hospital, they stuck a freaking IV drip in my arm and it took 30 minutes for this whole bag of stuff, of antibiotic stuff, liquid, whatever it is, to go through my whole entire body. I had to do that 3 days in a row. And then they could put me on like regular antibiotic pills. But anyway, I stayed 2 weeks at my dad's place, which was great. You know, I hadn't seen my dad in a while anyway. You know, just because I was in such a bad mood, I didn't want to spread the funky. Anyway, so I was at my dad's for 2 weeks. I could only drink liquids and eat soup and fruit. I was on a liquid diet for like 2 weeks. Yeah, it was bad. Like, I was so weak. When I say I couldn't walk, man, I look like a grandma. I couldn't smile. I'm always smiling and I couldn't smile, man. Anyway, 2 weeks later of staying at my dad's place, I decided that I felt ready enough to go back to my apartment and recover there, just so I don't know, I don't like feeling like a burden on my father, you know. So I came back to my apartment and yeah, and now I am here. And I am almost recovered from my kidney infection. Anyway, while I was sick, obviously I couldn't work. I couldn't do any of the normal things that I was doing. I just had to lie there and recover. And during that time, I had a lot of time to think about stuff, you know, and just think about all sorts of things that were more important than what I was thinking about before. So this kidney infection, it would seem like a dip on the roller coaster, right? You know, getting sick sucks. But what actually happened, instead of a dip, it seemed more like, oh, I found a parachute. Let me pull this lever. I shot myself out of the seat of the roller coaster and now I was way high up in the sky, looking down at everything. I am now above the highest point of the roller coaster and I can see all the dips and the levels and the whole entire roller coaster from the beginning to the end. I can see the destination of where it's heading and it's and dark and terrible. But on the other side, I can see a much better place. Beautiful, wonderful, glowing. I don't know what's there, but it looks great. I shall call that future. And the roller coaster is the past. Am I going to land myself back into the seat and continue falling down, or am I going to steer myself into this beautiful light? I think I shall steer myself into the beautiful light. It was just weird how it happened. You know, people say, oh, you know, you have a revelation after you know, have a near-death experience. I don't think this was a near-death experience, but it's nothing that I've ever experienced before, and it really shifted me out of my routine. So now, I cook all my own stuff, and I feel really good. Like, my skin's been looking better. I decided, I'm not gonna work as many hours, excuse my language. So now I work from 8 till 2 in the morning, and 2 would be like a normal time that I would fall asleep even if I wasn't working anyway, so that's good for me. And like my motivation to do creative things came back. Like I actually feel like doing YouTube videos again. I actually feel like drawing and working on things. Yeah, and my mind is working in a creative way again where I have these ideas of things that I want to do. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna take it slow. I'm not gonna sit here and make specific goals and plans for myself, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make 3 YouTube videos every single week and everything's gonna be fine and perfect and 100% power! No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take care of myself and I'm gonna post when I can. And now that I'm motivated again, it should be on a roly-poly. I feel different. I feel more different than I've ever felt before, so it's good. I'm just looking at it a little more realistically. Yeah, I'm crazy anyway. But yeah, I filmed 2 YouTube videos in the past week, so those videos will be up soon. Also, in the very near future, I am going to finish editing the rest of my Egypt videos. Yes, because I've got so much good footage from that trip that I need to put into videos that I have not, like you have not seen the best parts of my trip yet if you've watched my Egypt videos. I'm sorry for my lack of enthusiasm this year. You know, happens. Anyway, enough about me. How have you been? Oh my gosh. How has your year been? Has it been weird like mine, or has it been really good? Do you have any success stories, any awesome stories, or has it been worse than mine? I know my year has been difficult for me, but I am 100% sure that things could be a lot worse. But anyway, yeah, if you have any stories you want to share, tell me about your year. I am thoroughly interested, especially those of you who, you know, used to comment on my videos all the time. I want to hear how you're doing and what you've been up to. Anyway, I'm gonna end this now because my battery is about to die. But thank you so much. Look forward to the videos that I'm going to post in the future, the near future, by the way. I hope I see you soon, and ciao for now.